Let's talk about a man who terrorized California for years. A man known as the Golden State Killer. His crimes went unsolved for 4 decades, and investigators believed they might never find him. But in 2018, a new detective arrived on the scene. This detective didn't wear a badge, didn't carry a gun, it wasn't even human. Welcome back to AI Unboxed. I'm your host Arthi, and today we are diving into a story of fear, mystery, and ultimately justice. This is the story of the AI detective and the Golden State Killer. To understand how AI helped crack this case, we need to go back to the beginning. It's the 1970s in California. A man is breaking into homes in Sacramento, attacking people in the dead of the night. He's unpredictable, ruthless. He's known as the East Area Rapist back then, and he's terrorizing neighborhoods, committing dozens of assaults and eventually murders. For nearly a decade, he eludes police, disappearing into the night after each crime. By the 80s, his attacks span across California. He earns new names in different regions: the original Night Stalker in Southern California, and later, the Golden State Killer. By 1986, he vanishes. No one knows his identity, and his case, it goes cold. For years, detectives chase down leads, hoping for a breakthrough, but there's nothing. And with each year passing, it seems more likely that he'll never be caught. Fast forward to 2018, more than 30 years after the Golden State Killer's last crime. Investigators haven't given up, and one detective in particular, Paul Holes, has a hunch that advances in DNA technology might finally crack the case. Here's where AI comes in. Genetic genealogy, a combination of DNA testing and family tree mapping, is on the rise. It's a powerful new tool and it's already being used in other cases. But it's not as simple as swabbing a suspect. They have to work with the DNA samples left at the crime scenes decades earlier. To make things even more complicated, the Golden State Killer isn't in any DNA database. So the team makes a bold move. They upload his DNA profile to a public genealogy database, one used by people trying to discover their ancestors. This database doesn't give a direct match, but what it does is connect them to relatives of the killer. And here's where AI steps in. The detectives are now working with a complex family tree, a puzzle with pieces spread across hundreds of distant relatives. They use an AI powered genealogy tool designed to map out family connections based on DNA matches. The software can rapidly analyze relationships between these people, sorting them by probability and making connections that would take a human months or even years to complete. Piece by piece, the AI helps him narrow the field. The tree begins to take shape, revealing cousins, second cousins, even great uncles and aunts, all pointing to a single branch of the family tree. The detective team has their work cut out for them, but AI has now given them the roadmap they need. And then a name surfaces. It, every detective on the scene has this chilling feeling on their nerves. The name read Joseph James D'Angelo. A retired police officer, a family man, someone who, to everyone around him, seemed utterly ordinary. And yet, here he was, the man they'd been hunting for over 40 years. With this breakthrough, detectives are careful. They don't rush in. They surveil D'Angelo, waiting his movements, piecing together his routine. They need physical evidence, DNA that will directly link him to the crime scenes from all those years ago. Finally, they get their chance. They retrieve a DNA sample from something he's discarded, and it's a match. April 24, 2018, Joseph James D'Angelo is arrested, and it's announced that the Golden State Killer has been identified and taken into custody. The nation is stunned. Families of the victims, after decades of grief and anger, are finally getting answers and closure. The Golden State Killer case didn't just bring one criminal to justice, it opened the door for AI and genetic genealogy to solve more cases that seemed unsolvable. Suddenly, cold case units across the country began looking at old DNA evidence in a new light. Today, hundreds of cold cases are being re examined using the same AI techniques. It's as if technology has given detectives a second chance, a way to go back in time to resolve the unsolvable. But AI's role in crime solving also raises new questions. Genetic genealogy databases, once used for family history, are now part of the criminal justice system. And while this case brought a killer to justice, it also sparked debates about privacy, ethics, and the potential misuse of AI. So, where do we draw the line? Some say that if AI can help solve violent crimes, then we should use it to its fullest. But others worry about a future where anyone's DNA could be accessed without consent, where algorithms decide guilt or innocence. One misstep, one false match, and an innocent person's life could be destroyed. The Golden State Killer case was a success, but it set a precedent that will shape how we use AI in law enforcement from here on out. The Golden State Killer was caught thanks to AI, and his arrest changed everything. It brought closure to families who had waited decades for justice, and it turned AI into a powerful ally in law enforcement. But as we move forward, we're left with questions that we'll need to answer carefully. How far should we let technology go in the pursuit of justice? And how much of our personal privacy are we willing to give up for the sake of safety? The Golden State Killer is behind bars, but the story of AI in crime solving is just beginning. And as we look to the future, one thing is clear: the AI detective is here to stay. Thank you for joining me on AI Unboxed. I hope today's story gave you a new perspective on how powerful AI can be, not just in reshaping industries, but in bringing justice where there was none. If you're interested in more stories like these, stay tuned for our next episode where we'll explore how AI is bringing new life to lost art. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that the truth is always out there. Sometimes we just need a little help finding it. See you next time on AI Unboxed.